Much like the PS1, the PlayStation 2 was an incredible system for a lot of fantastic JRPGs, both games that were already in pre-existing series and also brand new JRPG series. How's it going everyone? Tazen here, and today I'm going to go through 5 great JRPGs that I recommend are worth trying. We're going to be going over games that are all ones that are able to be played standalone. By that I mean they do not contain any direct prequels or sequels, particularly for the same console. And we're also going to go in order of the earliest release date in Japan to the latest release date in Japan. So starting off with the first game that I recommend is worth playing is Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. Developed by Atlus and published by Atlus in Japan and North America, but published by Ghostlight in Europe, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne was initially released in Japan on February 20th, 2003, followed by a director's cut version called the Nocturne Maniacs Edition, which was released a year later in Japan on January 29th, 2004. This director's cut version was used for the Western release, being released as Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne in North America on October 12th, 2004, and Shin Megami Tensei Lucifer's Call in Europe on July 1st, 2005. The third installment in the Shin Megami Tensei mainline series, and the first mainline game to be released in the West, this Japanese RPG was directed by Katsuda Hashino, who was the director of Persona 3, 4, 5 and Catherine, to name a few. It was also co-directed by both Kazuyuki Yamai and Kazuma Kaneko, the former being the director of Shin Megami Tensei 4 and several of the Devil Summoner games, and the latter who has worked as an art director and designer on many Shin Megami Tensei games, in addition to Dante and Virgil's Devil Trigger in Devil May Cry 3. Playing as a brand new silent protagonist in a new Shin Megami Tensei story, it revolves around a cataclysmic event triggered by beings who are trying to recreate the world. When the world changes during this event, the main protagonist ends up becoming a half demon in the process. While now having a demon body but still retaining his human heart, he becomes instrumental to the world's rebirth and the power to change this new post-apocalyptic world. The Western release, which is the Japanese director's cut, also features Dante from Devil May Cry in the story, who now has a story arc and can also be a companion in the game. With a level up system and with random encounter battles in a 3D battle space, the gameplay is turn-based, controlling both the main protagonist and 3 demons in your party. You can also have the ability to carry more demon companions that can be switched into your party, while also being able to gain new demons throughout the game by either fusing demons or by successfully negotiating to have them join you as an ally. Each action you choose in battle costs a turn, and depending on whether you skip the turn, exploit an enemy's weakness, or deal critical damage, you gain an extra turn to use. On the other hand though, if your attacks fail or benefit the enemy in some way, then you can lose a turn in the process. Throughout the game, you traverse through this post-apocalyptic world and its dungeons, in addition to a labyrinth outside this world too. The game was a critical and commercial success worldwide, receiving later reprints due to its success and demand from fans, in addition to a themed PS2 memory card, a novelization of the game, a CD drama, and a comic anthology adaptation. The game went on to even receive a second director's cut bundled with the limited plus version of Devil Summoner 2 in Japan on October 23rd, 2008. This version was called the Nocturne Maniacs Chronicle Edition, which features Raido, who is the main protagonist of the 3rd and 4th Devil Summoner games, alongside his feline partner Goto instead of Dante from Devil May Cry. The next JRPG that I recommend is worth trying is Dragon Quest VIII. Developed by Level 5 and published by Square Enix, Dragon Quest VIII was released in Japan on November 27th, 2004, and 1 year later in North America on November 15th, 2005. After an additional 5 months, it was released on April 12th and 13th in Australia and Europe respectively, making it the first mainline Dragon Quest game to be released in PAL territories, and also the first English game in the series to not be called Dragon Warrior. The 8th mainline game in the series, this Japanese RPG was directed by Akihiro Hino, the founder, president and CEO of Level 5, who has also had lead roles on other notable JRPG series like Dark Cloud, Yokai Watch and Ni no Kuni, being the writer of Ni no Kuni as well. The game was also designed by Yuji Horii, the creator of the Dragon Quest series, and features Akira Toriyama as one of the artists, who is the creator of the Dragon Ball series. Playing as a brand new protagonist in a new Dragon Quest story, it revolves around the silent hero and his companions as they work towards defeating an evil villain in order to undo his curse on the kingdom that also transformed the king into a troll and the princess into a horse. With a level up system and random encounter battles in full 3D environments, The gameplay is turn-based with some new additions to the Dragon Quest series. One new addition includes the tension system, which allows characters to skip a turn and make the next attack stronger, as well as the alchemy pot that allows you to combine items together and create better ones. There are also secondary development skills to allow you to customize and grow each character differently too. The game was very positively received, both critically and commercially, and has gone on to not only receive a greatest hits version, but also a 3DS version with quality of life updates like new playable characters, story content, visible enemies in the field instead of random encounters, and a brand new ending option among other additions. It is worth noting though that the visual fidelity of the 3DS version has been downscaled compared to the PlayStation 2 version, and it doesn't include the amazing orchestral music heard in the PlayStation 2 version either. The third JRPG on the PlayStation 2 that I recommend worth trying is Tales of the Abyss. Developed by Namco Tales Studio, published by Namco in Japan, and published by Namco Bandai Games in North America, Tales of the Abyss was released on December 15th, 2005 in Japan and October 10th, 2006 in North America. This was one of several Tales games to receive an English release on the PlayStation 2 in NTSC regions, but not in PAL territories. The 8th mainline game in the series, this Japanese RPG was directed by Yoshito Higuchi, who also directed Tales of Vesperia and co-directed Tales of Symphonia. Playing as a brand new protagonist in a new Tales story, it revolves around Luke, a young and spoilt swordsman who's targeted by a military religious organization after they view him as the key to an ancient prophecy that controls humanity's actions. As a result, his life takes a drastic shift as he seeks to learn about what this all means by uncovering the mysteries of his birth and the prophecy, all while undergoing a significant development in his character throughout. With a level up system, the gameplay is real-time action-based, allowing the characters to freely move about the battlefields and attack, defend, use skills, AI party commands, and items. Characters have limit gauges that fill during combos and critical hits, granting the players the ability to use special mystic art attacks like in other Tales games. But gameplay also contains a new feature in the Tales games called Free Run, which is the ability to run in any direction during battle. The game was largely positively received, selling over 700,000 copies without even being released in PAL territories. It later went on to then receive a 3DS port in Japan, North America, Europe and Australia, making this the first time the game was released in PAL territories. And the fourth JRPG on the PlayStation 2 that I recommend is worth trying is Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria. Developed by Triace and published by Square Enix, Valkyrie Profile 2 was released in Japan on June 22, 2006, September 6th and 7th, 2006 in Australia and Europe respectively, and several weeks later in North America on September 26th. The second game in its series, this Japanese RPG was directed and designed by Takayuki Suguro, who also directed Resonance of Fate on the PlayStation 3. The music was composed by Motoi Sakuraba, who's also been a composer on the Tales games, Star Ocean games, and even Dark Souls games to name a few. Occurring both centuries before and in an alternate timeline to the story of the first Valkyrie Profile game, this story revolves around two characters who exist in the same body, they being the Princess Alicia and the Valkyrie Silmeria, who happen to be reincarnated into Alicia's body as punishment after disobeying Odin. After being somewhat freed of her trap, she awakens within Alicia's body, leading to a journey in which the two of them fight together to halt a catastrophe that could otherwise spell a war between the realm of mortals and gods. With a real-time battle system in 3D battlefields, gameplay is a hybrid traditional and action combat system using tactical elements. Moving and attacking are governed by attack points. Certain actions like moving around, being hit, and defeating enemies can restore AP, whereas attacks and certain movements like dashing can deplete your AP. Similar to Final Fantasy IX, a second player is also able to control other party members using an additional controller. The game was critically and commercially successful, being the highest selling game in its release week in Japan and the third best game released in 2006 for Amazon Japan. It received mostly very positive reviews worldwide and eventually received an Ultimate Hits and Greatest Hits re-release in Japan and North America respectively. And the fifth JRPG on the PlayStation 2 that I recommend is worth trying is Persona 3. Developed by Atlus, published by Atlus USA in North America and published by Koei and THQ in Europe and Australia respectively, Persona 3 was first released on July 13, 2006 in Japan, on August 14, 2007 in North America, on February 29, 2008 in Europe, and on March 6, 2008 in Australia. The fourth game in the Persona series, this Japanese RPG was both directed and produced by Katsura Hashino, the director of Persona 4, Persona 5, and Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne from earlier. And playing as a brand new silent protagonist in a new Persona story, it revolves around him joining a specialised extracurricular execution squad known as SEED at his new high school after returning to his childhood city as a transfer student and ending up learning how to summon a persona in the process. Using their persona, he and the student squad enter a large tower during the dark hour in order to investigate this hidden time period between days that was created from experiments 10 years earlier. With the level up system, the gameplay is traditional turn-based, controlling the actions of the main character and his personas using commands, and using an artificial intelligence system to indirectly control other characters. You can obtain and use new personas in battle, which each possess different strengths, weaknesses, skills, and other attributes. And similar to other games in this series, Persona 3 also largely incorporates life simulation gameplay, such as attending school and activities during different periods of the day, and by building social links between characters. The game was quite positively received, going on to receive an enhanced re-release on the PlayStation 2 called Persona 3 FES or FES, which added brand new story and gameplay content to the main game, in addition to adding a brand new 30-hour epilogue story and a new playable character for this epilogue. This enhanced version was later re-released digitally as a PS2 classic on the PS3 PlayStation Network, and the original release of the game also went on to receive a version on the PlayStation Portable. This portable version includes various changes, some including the ability to control every character. It has 2 additional difficulty modes, and also has the option to play as a female protagonist. Anyway, there are 5 great JRPGs on the PlayStation 2 system that I recommend worth trying. Hopefully you enjoyed learning a bit more about these games and maybe even trying one in the process. There are really so many great games on this system and many that I look forward to recommending in the future. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next video, stay spot on.